Probably gonna be. Let's see on the key. Up right now, we got you disconnected. Okay, we're live. Now call to order the meeting of the Board of Public Works and Safety of the City of Huntingburg. So I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right. Your Father God, thank you for the opportunity for all these people to be here today and give their input into the city. We ask also your guidance upon this board that the decisions they make today may be pleasing and to the benefit of the city of Huntingburg. For these things we ask. Thank you. First thing, if you've had a copy of the minutes, do we hear a motion to approve minutes?
Make the motion to approve minutes.
We have a first. We hear a second.
I'll second.
We have first and second. All those in favor? Aye. Should note too that board member Souders is out today, but we do have a quorum. So approval of the claims. I know you had a chance to review those.
I'll make that motion.
The motion to approve.
I'll second.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. First thing we're going to do, just kind of bring things forward a little bit. We have wastewater superintendent Brad Coomer is out today, but I do want to bring up Jeremy and do the wastewater report. If you want to come to the microphone, introduce yourself. And they do have an appointment today. They have a busy day that they need to get things out of the way. So you can just come to the podium if you'd like. Thank you. Appreciate you covering for Brad today.
Not a problem. Good morning. Any questions on the report?
One thing you had on the report, I don't know, Brad talked to was the pump situation.
Yes, for the 19th Street lift station, the wastewater department is asking for permission to go ahead for services to add a third drive with controls and wiring for pump 3. For a total cost of $36,748, as discussed already.
And part of that issue, if you remember, I think Brad presented it before, is right now that is on a, I guess for lack of better word, Ethernet type of connection. We're at the mercy of one supplier. Anytime that pump goes offline or has issues, this allows us to be able to make immediate repairs without going, and also being able to bid out any repairs to that pump to get it operating again without, right now we're limited to one supplier, and this will really save us probably about 20-30,000 annually through that contract we have with a supplier.
And we'll be able to access it nearly like that. So
We can get it, you can access it as you do any other pump versus going through an internet connection with a third party. So what we need was be a motion to proceed forward with that purchase.
I'll make that motion.
We have a second.
I'll second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Anything else on the report you have
That-
questions about?
that should be it. You guys got any other questions?
We'll have some more updates on the wastewater plant later, so Phil and I will do some presentations there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Told you it wouldn't take long.
Thanks.
Right now, we also have a guest here, Eric Yoakum, representing the Huntingburg Birds Fest. He's got some requests for use of the park and streets and other parade situations that are going to occur with the Birds Fest this year.
Good morning, everybody. Really, there's not a whole lot different from last year. We are adding a wiffle ball tournament this year. Other than that, the ride, the other thing that I want you guys to look at is we had rides last year. I don't know if I put it on. don't think there was a spot on here for rides. There's not. We'll have different ride people this year, but other than that, it's the same as last year. We're hoping to use the same streets as long as they're available for the parade this year. I think we're supposed to talk about.
Yeah, we'll be working,
Yeah.
with wastewater project going on, they are working around the Herbst Fest and other major events to make
And I
sure
appreciate that.
streets are accessible.
We'll do whatever we can to work with the city, obviously, but yeah, we're looking at the last full weekend of September. That week, we usually get it from Monday through to the next Monday practically. But if you guys have any questions, do you guys have a copy of the report?
I don't.
The application. No, we do not.
It's an application.
It's an application that,
Yeah.
actually, that's an event application that runs through also the Parks Department. But
Yep, and they've
I
already,
guess my question is as Chief Heim or Chief Kramer looked at the parade route and made recommendations there.
Same parade route.
yeah, it's the same parade route. Usually, Officer Mullins does the parade, and I've already contacted him.
That's going to Walnut, right?
To come from Fifth Street to Walnut, return back down First Street into the park.
Well, we went down Fourth Street last year,
Okay,
and then to
Fourth
Walnut.
Street, yeah,
Yeah.
you stage them on Fifth though.
Yes, yes, sir. We'll stage them on Fifth and then all Van Buren and all those other side roads.
Feel comfortable with the parade route, and you know, one thing I just say, as long as Officer Mullen has done it for several years, and I think he'll keep track, you know, make sure we're there.
Well, he stays on it.
Yeah. So, any questions regarding Herbst Fest? Park Board is aware.
We approved it last meeting to do the park board.
Dustin also sits on the Parks Board, and I know that they've approved everything that's happening down at the park. So we've gone through the steps. I appreciate it. I don't have the form in front of us. But it is the same form that was presented a year ago.
It is.
Almost word for word, except for the ride.
Well, I copied it.
Which is regulated by other departments other than us on the roads.
Yeah, there's usually not much changing other than like the wiffle ball tournament and the rides people. I would ask that maybe you guys add where it says event included on the special application, add the rides there. So you guys know who's doing the rides.
Yeah, well, that'll actually go, that part will go through the Parks
Okay,
Department since it's on their property. But they do need to be aware.
This board should approve the parade route, parade
Parade
route, parade route.
So
as described.
we're asking for approval of the parade route was going to be utilizing the streets between Fourth and Fifth for straight staging along Fifth Street, as well as
yep,
I assume the gym.
Yep.
And the side streets that connect Fourth and Fifth.
yep, like short
Through,
fourth
like,
and,
or short Fourth and some of the other areas,
yep,
utilizing the route down Fourth Street from Van Buren to Walnut, from Walnut to First Street, and from First Street
the
ending
park.
at the park.
Yes,
And
sir.
you'll need Cherry Street access, no parking.
Yes,
So
sir.
that for the floats to park along the street and no other parking. Is that a long motion? Can we handle?
Yep.
That sound good? All right.
That's
So,
all laid out in the application.
so that'll be the parade route. So you're approving right now, the closure of those streets for the parade.
Yes, sir.
I'll make that motion.
We have a second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. And thank you to the Herbst Fest Committee. Countless hours I know they put in. It's hard to find volunteers nowadays, but it's almost a 24-hour day job once the Herbst Fest hits. And
It is.
I don't think you realize how early they're there and how late they're there in the evening. I was very appreciative of the dedication they have to the Herbst Fest.
I appreciate the city working with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, guys. Enjoy the day.
Thank you, Eric. Street Superintendent Jason Stamm.
Morning. Any questions on anything in the report? Not, I've got quite a bit of other stuff to try to add or go over.
One thing, Jason, go ahead. What are you, what number were you, 16? That's what I was gonna talk about.
Yeah. Do residents get letters or are they notified along those? Where we're gonna redo them streets?
Yes,
So they have the opportunity and told that if they could get their sewer lateral changed, it would be a plus.
yeah. That's what we've done in the past was to let them know, you know, when the paving was gonna take place or roughly. And then give them the option to do that. I mean, let me back up to what I just said. We did, when we were doing this program, once we stopped this program, no, then we didn't. But now that we're gonna go back to trying to get people to do this, then yes, they will get letters or they will be notified that.
And we do have history, who's plastic, who's clay, that's, we go along that areas. And, the wastewater has been very proactive of reaching those people that we know have the older laterals, encouraging that this is probably the best time. We run into issues sometimes where, they think the city should pay for it and those type of issues, but
Well,
most people are understanding, especially if they're landlords.
well, it'd be great to get it out of the street. That's my thing. Do we give them an understanding when they're contacted that maybe all they have to do is get it into the yard?
Yeah,
I mean-
they're basically made aware that, yeah.
Yeah, and so they did.
But some people have no interest in it because they have no intent to sell their house,
Right, right.
you know.
But so if they don't do it, you pave the street and something goes bad in 6 months and they still have to cut the street up.
There's probably, we
So
got
what-
the street up, it's put back with flowable fill, so it doesn't settle from that standpoint usually. And that's what we require of all of our contractors.
Would it not be, that was my question too on 16, would it not be a benefit, and I don't know what that would cost the city, to just go ahead and take it from the main to the end of the street, so we don't have to cut up at the city's cost if they don't do it?
Expensive. But that
I
was,
mean, I've seen that where you guys have redone streets.
we
6
talked,
months
we
later,
talked
you got-
about that in the meeting that we had.
Yeah, we had one street where there was, non-lateral, definitely hadn't been changed. Did we pay for that? We paid for that if it had been 10, we wouldn't have paid for all 10, you know, it starts the precedent of.
Or at least, well, I don't know how that worked.
It's several $1,000s to put that line back for that person if they
Right.
want to do it later. We explain that to them now, the most economical sense, because we're not gonna pay you to repave or refill or that areas.
But also too, if you're repaving the street, you cut it up and you put it back right, it's still not gonna last as long as if it was just left alone.
You mean
That's,
the-
like if you repave
To
it
fix.
and then you cut it out 6 months later and fix it, it's still not gonna be right the rest of its life. That was my.
Yeah, no, they don't. I mean, you can repair it, you can crack seal it and yeah, I mean, it's not the same as what it was before it was
So
cut.
I didn't know if a guy could just look at it on a street by street basis and.
You could, but then, you know, if you live on a street that we're gonna pay for him and Kerry lives on a street that we're not, he's probably gonna be not happy and you will be. So, I mean, I think if you wanna do that, you're either gonna have to bite the bullet and say, yeah, we're gonna do them all, or do like we do now and say, no, we're not, the city's not gonna participate in doing them.
Well, I agree. I don't think the city should pay for it or do it. But my other option is, what does a contractor have to go through to be able to cut the street?
They have a permit to fill out.
Just gotta have a permit?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
They
Well,
do-
my
they
thing
do
is-
get an inspection too.
okay.
We do
They get
require-
the permit, I believe, Tom, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's $25 for a street cut permit.
25 and then plus.
Right, it's $25 just to fill the permit out. Okay, and that permit is filling the permit out and then the inspection by either the street department employee or the wastewater employee when when the contractor's doing the work.
Two costs involved.
And that $25 covers all of that. Now, there's an additional cost for the repair of the asphalt or concrete or whatever it is.
I'm just thinking out loud. I don't know if it can be done or not, but what if we told one contractor, talk to one contractor, he's the one that's gonna do it, and get the lowball's price, because it'd be cheaper cost, I think, if he's gonna change 5 of them on one street than changing 1 of them on one street. And you see what I'm getting at?
Mhm.
Go with give us the best price you can to do them all. If we could get all the people to do it.
Right.
Is there not a way
Can-
that we
can
can
we-
say, hey, you have to tell the homeowner you have to do this?
I don't,
We can
well,
only-
let Phil,
you know, we can only require them if their sewer line is defective
Certain lines, affected, or there's a change of ownership.
or change of ownership.
Could you not, like, if it's plastic, it passes fine, but if it's clay, you never know how long it's gonna last. Say, if it's still clay, you need to change it, or
We had reason to believe that it's failing, we could do an inspection from, I don't know if you can inspect from the, main, or you have to go into the house to inspect. Televised.
depends. Most of the time they have to come out of the house
Yes.
or a clean out to
Could have
do that.
clean out outside.
Yeah,
just
the
hate-
clean out.
You have to have permission to access their property to do it,
Right,
to do a televised.
Cause most of the laterals, when they drop into the main, come in and drop down and you can't get your camera up through there.
Yeah, we're looking at the street projects we have now. I think there's only concern with one property. Understanding this round
I
anyway.
think so, yeah.
They've been spoken to, so it's not like there's 10, on the street.
Well,
Because most of those have been replaced. In fact, kind of take that into consideration. If we're gonna do work on the main, or the laterals have been taken care of, and we look at probably the most economical way to replace those. Clay Street was an example where a lot of that work has already been completed.
Yeah.
We had one home in question down there that we've spoken to them. Brad Coomer has regarding ways of the most economical way that they can repair that before the street comes in. And realize that some street constructions don't include, some of them were grinding and just paving.
Mill and fill, basically, yeah. But the
So-
community crossing
Yeah.
projects that are going on now are more in depth and there's deep patching and things like that. So that's what the
So we
difference is.
replaced the water main and some of the connections there during that time too, over on 8th Street.
Yeah.
Some other areas. And we run into a lot of issues, so if we replace all the water lines or laterals off that water line on one side, do we do the other side, which then includes more extensive work. We've run every project one at a time, every street one at a time, and looked at the cost impact, but also the future impact of setting precedent paying for these.
It's kind of like playing the lottery. I mean, you just don't know, you may pave a street and that street may sit there for 15 years and nobody ever cuts it. Or you may pave a street and somebody decides to sell their house 6 months after it's been paved and they've got a bad sewer. It's got to be.
People on the street received 3 letters, one from the water department, one from the wastewater department, one from the street, letting them know the scope of work.
Well,
Could be happening,
when it-
and we're available. I walked down a couple of streets, that would be available to talk to people.
so at least at the minimum, before the street's paved, they go in, if they haven't had an inspection in the last 5 years, they'll go ahead and do one. Is that the protocol? No.
No,
See, I think that's, they should, if you're gonna pave a street, they ought to inspect all the houses.
we know that within the last 10 years that plastic was put on like 9 of the 10 houses.
Okay.
We have pictures of those being installed, and that they were installed properly, what the material is. We had the one in it's where we spend extra time on, we don't spend extra time on the ones that have already been replaced.
The only thing that we do, as far as what you're saying, Dustin, is the wastewater will run the camera up the main
Okay.
and check that before we pave it, because that's the city's. Okay, so we do check that to make sure that it's good. That's why if you saw on Clay Street, that trench that goes all the way down the middle is because their main wasn't good, so they replaced all that.
You'll see your connection points. Sometimes when you see one that's been cleaned off, then you'll even tell that that line has been fished several times. And that we had that with a couple of occurrences recently, Clay Street. Again. Like one fixed it before we ever started our construction.
I guess the biggest thing is you just hate to spend all that money and pave a street and then a year later it gets all cut up.
Yeah, and
It's
it's,
the thing.
and it doubles the price for that person that's replacing that lateral.
Yeah, I mean, we tried to make it incentive based for the homeowner to try to get them to go ahead and do it. But, I mean, you have some elderly people that live there, they don't have the funds to do it, or the you know, they don't care really, not that that sounds bad, but they just, you know, we tried to make it incentive based by doing what we did to get people to do it.
I mean, I think that's a good thing.
I mean, other than forcing them to do it, we're trying to do the most we can to encourage it, so.
I've been working with Jerry and Brad, looking at streets that we're probably paving over the next couple of years, which includes First Street. To look at these things individually, starting conversations now, because we'll have all kinds of utilities that will be under that street on First Street that will need address, and some will address through the wastewater grant, some need to be addressed by the residents of those homes. It becomes another situation where we have to contact landlords versus renters that really don't care whether that line is connected or not, because it's going to get the landlord again to fix that. So, yeah, so we're already looking at streets with that in our meetings to make sure that good communications are out there and we can make individual decisions on streets that we do that don't impact our decisions in the future. Otherwise, if we replace 3 on First Street, we have to replace every one in the city now at our cost. And that can get, that's gonna be outside of our budget.
Good on that one?
Yep.
Moving on, Jason Hiley with the NDOT's out here in the audience. And that was one, what was that, Jason, a month, 2 months ago we met? NDOT came to the city and NDOT had 4 or 5 representatives here, myself and the mayor met in the mayor's office. And basically NDOT is wanting to replace the storm sewer that runs across 231 right in front of Market Street Park. Okay. That's the old brick structure, oblong type thing. And the reason for it is right now that structure's not bad. It's old, but on the west side, there was an inlet that let the water from the highway get down into that pipe. That inlet's kind of fallen apart because of the way that it was constructed. It was basically on top of the pipe. There's no really good way to do that. So NDOT, needless to say, has approached the city to jointly replace that pipe. NDOT's proposal was that the city pay for the pipe and NDOT would take care of the rest of it. Am I correct?
Well, NDOT owns the highway, the structures underneath is the city's property.
Correct.
So that is our pipe.
Yeah, the pipe, I think, what was it was roughly around 200.
Looks like they had at 220,000 for the pipe portion, and we'd be looking at doing it in 2028, so you probably would have some inflation.
Yeah, so it's a ways off, the project is. That's just NDOT's schedule and how they are, or how things work.
Presently bricks involved.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this would be a permanent structure, but probably the state's portion, if I remember right, 560, 580.
As the total cost was 530,000 or so.
So basically, we're just bringing this to you guys now to make you aware of it. I don't know, do we need approval on that, Phil, or what do we?
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think you can't approve something that's not gonna happen for 2 years. Lot
4 years.
4 years.
4 years. A lot can happen between now and then. I think we ought to be looking at where we can find money to do it and make sure we've got
Right.
funds to do it. And that's all we can do. I think this board can recommend that we proceed with an understanding that we're willing to participate in this project, but we can't make a commitment that's legally binding for 4 years hence.
In the past, what we've done, if we did in Princeton, is we've had an agreement with the local agency with everything laid out and had that signed by NDOT and the state or in the local. So we would probably want to do something similar on this one.
Right, it'd have to be subject to funding availability and all that. I mean, I'd have no problem with that, so long as there's an out in there, if the city just doesn't have the funds to do it. I can't imagine that being the case, but stranger things have happened.
And the expectation is anywhere from 4 to 6 years from now.
Yeah, I think they looked at it a little harder. It's probably a solid 2028. When they were looking at, so that'd be 4 years from now.
Obviously, we can't commit funds to something we don't have a price on. But I think there's probably a general acceptance that we know, recognize that it needs to be done with. I think that's came up when I was on the board of public works about 3 years ago, when they were talking about the inlets and trying to reconstruct that prior to paving of the highway at that time.
Yeah, that's,
That it ultimately, at some point, it needs to be done. What that agreement is, what portions out, I think are gonna be determined upon availability of financing and actually some hard numbers if they can prove. Would you? So you're saying you need a little something more formal from us?
But eventually, yeah, I mean, if we know you guys are okay with the concept, we can start getting the draft agreements together and work it out.
Any questions regarding the concept? I know I said I'm board with a couple of you last time we had this conversation a few years ago.
Obviously, it's an opportunity to get a storm sewer replaced at half the cost approximately.
Yeah.
That's to the benefit of the city. But I just caution you that we can't make a formal commitment, something 4 years from now. We can make a commitment subject to funding, availability of funding.
So we need a motion to
Yeah,
jointly work with them, subject to funding.
subject to funding.
I'd make that motion.
So the motion is that we will work with NDOT on providing a solution in the future, as long as contingent upon funding. We have the motion by board member Schmidt and a second. Second. We have a second by Carrie Blessinger. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any motion carries.
I guess probably the best thing to do, Phil, is to have NDOT, the state write something up and then
Got
get
a
it to you.
memorandum of understanding or however you want to.
Yeah, we probably have some.
Yep.
It wouldn't take much to get.
And I know when we deal with the state, it's always subject to funding.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to thank you for the inlet improvements that you made around
Oh, yeah.
the track area.
Yeah.
Curious, waiting for the next big rain to see if it really works.
Yeah, I think it should make some.
We have your number. So, I'm sure it'd be a great improvement. We've seen that for years, that probably the failure on that street and along the tracks and the pavement has been caused by lack of inlet. So, yeah, be great to have that.
While we're on that subject in that area, Jason, whose responsibility it is to repair that sidewalk section that was destroyed with the tree? Is that city sidewalk?
Well, that was a good question because Kelly and I actually talked about that yesterday. They finally got the pipes hooked back up into that new structure that they put there. So it's the concrete's ready to be put back. It's on it. I don't know the answer to your question because it's on NDOT's right away. But NDOT during that project said that wasn't theirs to fix because they didn't tear it out.
It wasn't.
And they weren't gonna tear it out, you know, it wasn't part of the project plan. So I don't know if that makes it the city's sidewalk, so is that the city's responsibility to put it back? Is it the homeowner's responsibility whose tree tore it out? I don't know. I mean, we can put it back, that's not the question, but
What kind of cost are you estimating that to be?
probably a couple $1,000s,
A day
maybe.
of labor, day or half a day of labor? What-
Probably a day and a half by the time we get it formed and poured and.
My experience with NDOT has been anything beyond the curb is the city's responsibility.
Yeah, even if it's in the right of way,
Right.
it's still up to the city to take care of.
That's regardless of who initially put the facility in.
Right, and I talked to, Jason's not on that project, but I talked to the project manager of it. And that's basically what they told me was, if they would have had to tear it out to do part of their project, they would have put it back. But
Where that's the area that's just south of the tracks, kind of across from Pizza Hut.
Yes.
Location there. That's why that sidewalk has been gravel, waiting for the state to get the inlet.
we waited for that project to get done, just in case they would have had to cut it or do something. We didn't want to pour a new sidewalk and had to tear it out. So we waited till the project's done, which it So they're out there paving today, so after today, it pretty well will be done. And that sidewalk that now can be put back.
Right, it's an eyesore.
Yeah.
It's a safety issue too.
Yeah, it's
Right.
a safety issue.
Walking at night.
So yeah, it will be put
I
back.
mean, we'll get it done, we'll work out the.
Yeah.
The particulars.
Until then, there should be appropriate cone and caution.
Right.
Warnings.
So what have you done in the past, like on a side street, if the tree's falling over for the sidewalk, what have you guys done in the past?
Most of the time we do it. You know, most of the time on those situations, the sidewalk is in the city's right away at that point. Now I know, you know, if you look through it, it says that the sidewalk is the homeowner's responsibility to maintain it, basically by keeping it clean of snow and debris and all that.
Jason, I don't think we have an ordinance that provides for that. I know some cities do,
Okay,
and we.
so, but to answer your question, yeah, we usually,
Just take care of
we
it.
take care of
That's
it.
our
Public safety,
Yeah.
take care.
So that's what I was
It's on the
planning.
City right away, we repair it, replace it, make it safe.
I'd say on that one, we just fix it and move on.
Yeah, and that's what we'll do. I mean, that was what our plan was yesterday when we talked about it was to.
Now, the homeowner may have some insurance.
Well, that's the thing, you know, I don't know, you know, we talked about even if you go a step farther when the trees had, you know, we cleaned the tree up. You know, it was all at the city's expense, but would it have had to been, I don't know, you know, it needed to get done, so we just did it. Okay, limb yard. Got prices for the grinding of the limb yard down there to get everything ground up and hauled off, nothing to be left like it was. Not like it was, but the same instructions that we did last year. Basically, they come in, they grind it up and they get rid of everything. They don't leave anything down there. Sent letters to 4 firms, Brewer Farms, Smith Creek, Forest Commodities, and Kramer's Land Clearing. Got 3 of the 4 responded with prices. The low bid goes to Brewer Farms for $22,400. Second place was Kramer's at $37,250. And third place was Smith Creek at $49,470. So my recommendation to you guys would be that we would enter a contract with Brewer Farms for $22,400 to grind up the limb pile at the limb yard and haul off all the mulch or chips, whatever you want to call it. Any questions on any of that? They've done it 2 or 3 years for us, I think.
What was the last time they did that? Was that
Last-
year
Last
ago?
year,
It's not a similar price, was it? Or was it?
pretty close, yeah.
Seems
Like-
like we're spending 20 to 25,000 a year to take care of those limbs, besides the labor that it takes to move them and stack
Push them up and.
I know
yeah.
it's not possible to monitor that limb yard 24/7, but I don't know how many times on a Saturday or even during the week, I see trailers full of limbs coming 231 into Huntingburg and from 64 west coming into Huntingburg. And maybe they're Huntingburg residents, I don't know, and maybe they're not even going to the limb yard.
I mean, the only way you could do that would be to do like the county does with their landfill site or their dump sites, where you got a guy sitting there when it's open.
It'd be double that price to have somebody there.
Exactly.
I mean, I know this might make some people mad, but
We
does
still
the
have-
city have to provide, does all cities provide we're taking,
No.
do we have to do that?
No,
I mean, I know that's gonna make a lot of people mad by me saying that.
well, I've said that too. I've asked that same question, Dustin, and basically until the tornado went through here a few years ago, there was none. People had to take it out to Brewers, or there was another landfill over here off of 12th Street, I think. that-
People will stack them up in their yards, they'll burn them.
That's-
do
that's-
everything. That was the issue. I
That
think
was the
came
key
through.
was
There was a
that
fire issue and I know.
it was a code
I know
thing.
Glenn and Siobhan could
Yeah.
attest to that.
So
Yeah.
it's worth the 20,000 a year to do it, you think?
Stops a couple fires, it probably could.
I'm just asking, I don't have an opinion either way, I just,
Yeah.
It's, it's
There's
a decision every city makes, and it's a service that every city determines whether or not they're gonna fund. It's a municipal service that you can or
I mean, in all honesty, our limb yard is, the hours of it are very user friendly. Because it's open a lot, you know, I compare it to the one over in Jasper, theirs are only open. Their limb yard is open when the city department's open. So at 3:30, 4 o'clock, when they go home, it's closed. Now it's open on Saturday morning because they work Saturday mornings. But it's only open from like 7 to 1 on Saturdays.
Do they have
So-
somebody there that monitors?
They have a guy there that basically is in the backhoe and he's pushing the pile up as people dump it. but-
Monitors who's dumping?
Yeah,
And our street department's located on the opposite end of town of our lane yard.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that becomes.
so I mean, it, you know,
That's
that-
right situation. I mean, it's obvious. It doesn't take a mathematician to figure out, we don't have that many trees falling down in Huntingburg when you look at the massive size of the pile.
I do have,
When we look at the alternatives, you know, like at 22,000, stop a couple of fires, and I know we have a couple firefighters here today. They've witnessed that and seen that, and that was one of the biggest concerns before.
I mean, we do have money in the budget. We have a line item in there for our limb yard that helps cover this cost. And about 3 or 4 years ago, I don't remember how long it was, I presented to the board, and I don't know that any of you guys were even on the board at that time, about a curtain burner, basically. Basically you dig a hole down there and it's a big machine that basically burns all the stuff up. You end up with hardly nothing left, as far as ash goes and things like that. You know, and were you on the board at that time, Carrie? I don't remember the cost of it. I mean, it was a decent cost, but you wouldn't have this price every year. I mean, if you want me to look at something like that again, I can.
You still have to dispose of the ash.
Basically, after the hole gets so full, you just fill it up. You just put dirt on top of it. It's good for the soil. I mean, environmentally, it's a eco-friendly type thing. It doesn't emit smoke because of the air that it blows in and that type of thing.
I'd say by the end of the day, you won't be much cheaper because you're gonna have city employee labor.
You will. You'll have to have somebody there throwing the limbs in it.
And at the end of the day, I don't think it'd be any cheaper. than-
And it may not be, but
So we'll take the risk of basically $25,000 a year cost, to dispose of the limbs and move from there.
yeah.
All right. Do
So-
we have a motion to accept the bid?
I'll make the motion.
A second? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you, Jason.
Okay, moving on to the next item. I've been working with Cash Wagner on the 2024-01 community crossing projects, which was Clay Street and Second Street. They have those ready to go to bid. Need approval from you guys to advertise in the paper for bids. The plan is to advertise that the next couple of weeks, open bids at the end of June. Come to you guys in the July meeting and award to contractors in July for those two projects. Any question on those two?
Funding secured, match has been secured.
Yeah, everybody understands what projects they are, Second and Clay. Any questions on those? Otherwise, I guess we just need a motion to,
All right, we have a motion to send out for bid on those two projects.
Motion made.
We have a second? Second, we have a first and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries.
next item, Hunter's Crossing Phase 3 has been paved. The storm sewer has been inspected. Basically coming to you guys to make a motion to accept that into the city street inventory so that I can apply to NDOT for that. But like I said, the only thing it's not done is the street signs, and I don't put them up till you guys approve it. Once you approve it, then I will go out and put the stop signs are up. We have to do that because of safety. The stop signs and the street signs have been up. The only thing that needs to go up are speed limits and no parkings. That's all given as to what they are and where they go. The no parking, the only thing is I would prefer to keep the no parking on the same side as it is on the other streets. Unless you guys tell me differently, that's the way I will proceed with it. Any questions on that?
Probably the biggest impact is gonna be on fire trucks, and I think they prefer to see it on the same side all the way around.
Yeah.
We have a motion to accept that, project in.
Phase 3 of
If you
Hunter's
haven't been
Crossing.
out there, I've been out there, it's a nice job, but
And the reason I'll tell you this is phase 4 has been paved. Okay. The only reason I don't want to accept it at this meeting yet is one, the storm sewer hasn't been inspected. And two, they're still building houses in 4. They've sat dumpsters on the street. I've been dealing with that. They're telling me there's no answer, and I said, well, that's fine. I'm not gonna accept the street till you're done. And if there's damage to the street, you will fix it before we accept it. So just so you know what's going on with phase 4.
I'll make the motion for phase 3.
we have a motion, we have a second. For phase 3, Hunter's Crossing, we have a first and a second, all those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, motion carried. Thank you.
And the last thing I have was, I have been going round and round out at the street department for 3 or 4 years, since we moved out there, about our shop floor and about how dirty it gets and that type of thing. I got in contact with M&H Equipment out of Evansville, who we purchased our forklift from years ago. But anyhow, been talking with the guy there. He gave me a recommendation. I got a hold of a couple of other companies that also handle that same piece of equipment. It's basically a floor sweeper. It's not a scrubber. It doesn't have water in it. It's like a mini street sweeper, basically, is what I'd call it. It's something that would help maintain the integrity of the floor in our shop. Because if any of you've ever been out there, and you're more than welcome to come at any time to see what it looks like, because it's a big area to try to keep clean by sweeping it. Every so often we'll go in there and we'll take everything out. We'll take the pressure washer and we'll hose it all out. But if we had a machine like this, we would be able to sweep it every week, or anytime somebody had free time, they could get on this machine and they could sweep it up.
Right now, the amount of dust is really impacting equipment that we have out there, as well as employees that work there.
Yeah.
Air quality is not too good, and we did run this through the Street and Alley committee yesterday.
Tuesday.
With Steve McFerrin, who has experience with the machines, quite a bit cheaper than what he's paying at his employment. For
Right.
the same machine, and we did talk about air quality, so he's on board with that.
It's basically, I mean, I printed off these 3 papers. You can look at them. It's basically pictures of when the guy brought the demo up there and running around the shop. You can see basically what this piece of equipment will do. Obviously, if you do it more often, it's going to keep it cleaner yet. Like I said, it's basically a sweeper. It sweeps it up, and it's got a vacuum in it too. When you run that across that dirty floor right there, it emits no dust, no nothing. I mean, it's very clean. It is a battery powered. The guy, the salesman that I spoke with said it would have no problems doing our whole shop on each charge. It's very easy to clean. He said, I'll sell you a floor scrubber, which has water in it. But he said, my mechanic is going to be your best friend, because he said he's going to be here all the time cleaning it and doing things to it, because your floor is so dirty that it will need to be kept up. So basically what I did was I went ahead and I got 3 quotes for the same machine, which is the one that I demoed, from 3 companies: Power Boss, Power Clean Equipment, and M&H Equipment. And M&H Equipment was the low bidder on this piece of equipment for $19,454.63. I do have money in my budget for equipment, so that's where the money would come out of to be able to purchase
High
this.
bid was closer to 30, is that correct?
Yeah, the one that Steve said that they have at Meyer Equipment is the same machine, but it's a bigger one. And it runs on LP, I think he said, and it was almost
45.
40 to 50,000 for it. It's a bigger machine, which, you know, he's got more clean, but
Runs.
LP.
Is this gasoline or what is?
This is electric.
Electric?
Yeah.
What's the lifespan of the battery?
The lifespan of the battery, he said, is I think like 10 to 15 years.
More than 10 years.
Yeah.
We had no guess what the price of that battery is gonna be in 10 years,
No.
just to be fair.
Is that something that's rechargeable?
We don't know.
Yeah.
Not a car battery type.
No, it's just like any other, like the lawnmowers that run off electric now. You basically, when you're done, you plug it into a 110 outlet and it charges it back up, and kind of like a golf cart, I think, type thing. It doesn't have as many batteries as what a golf cart does. They're probably bigger.
Any other questions on that?
What kind of maintenance on that, Jason?
Very minimal. He went through all that with me. It basically, here, I'll show you. I've got a picture of. It's not a very. It's bigger. It's not a real big picture of the thing, but. That's what it looks like right there. But basically what it does is it sweeps it up, and on the back of it, it's got two hoppers that are about that big, and you basically just pull them out, and it's all dried stuff, and you just dump it in trash can or backhoe bucket, wherever you want to do it to get rid of it. It does have a filter in it, because he showed me, he pulled the thing out, placed his business card on the bottom of it, pushed it back in and turned the vibrator on the filter, and it got out all of the fine stuff. And I mean, it just like covered the bottom of it. And that's the stuff that doesn't get put back into the air as it's sweeping, basically.
There's immediate change in the air environment as soon as you get close to that area and walk into it. I've been in
Yeah.
several times.
Yeah, I mean, the trucks that sit in there, like we have a couple trucks that don't get driven all the time, like our sign truck and stuff, that it's just. You have to wash the window every time when you do want to get in it to move it, because it's got so much dust.
It's like working in a dust storm, basically.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not good.
I'll make the motion to spend money on buying that.
We have a motion from Ms. Smith to make the purchase. We have a second. Don't have a second, it dies.
If you got questions about it, let me know. I mean, I'll be glad to help the
Want to
salesman.
reconsider and bring it towards the board again, or
I'll make the second.
you'll make the second, Carrie? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
I think
One last thing is that came back yesterday. You don't have anything else?
no, I was just gonna say I'm about done.
We started back with the whole roof conversation back in
Yeah.
February. The board advised that we had somebody look at it, put together a bid package. That bid package was prepared yesterday. Jason and I will do a walkthrough at 10 o'clock today with the engineer on what that imposes, but we'd like to send that out for bid next week contingent upon funding. I haven't reviewed this with Tom and but we would accept the bid contingent upon funding, but at least get it out and find out where we're at from the bid there. We're able to put that out next week, advertise next week, and get it going, and hopefully by the end of June, be able to start accepting bids. So sometime in July during your meeting, we can review those. Do I have a motion to go ahead and do that advertisement for the bids?
I'll make that motion.
First,
I'll second.
got a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
We have had the building inspected for mold. We working with air quality personnel to come in and look at it. We, at this point, don't see it as immediate mold danger. The healthy spaces out of Warwick County's been up here.
The guy came and looked at it, and he said he doesn't see any sign of any kind of mold growth there.
Pretty well know that all the insulation is gone. That building was not designed. It's not a typical standing seam roof. It's screwed down metal. that works. The holes have been large. It moves every one of those holes, hundreds of holes, every one of them are probably leaking at some point. The area that's over the office is a true standing seam roof, so that would not be replaced. Keep it. I mean, life expectancy of one of those is 40 to 50 years. And so we probably got another 20 or 30 years in that small section. Construction of that building, reason it's taken so long, is constructed with different types of materials and construction techniques. And it was added on to certain sides, so putting together a scope of work and being able to get to bid it and see what was actually the structure under the roof and analyze it, put the package together, but the time consuming end of it. Universal design out of Ferdinand Finish, those drawings today were yesterday afternoon, we're gonna review those today, so. It's a complicated building, let's just say it that way.
Anything else for me?
Next, we have Police Chief Brad Kramer. Welcome, Chief.
Good morning.
That's your first couple of weeks gone here.
It's been hectic, busy. Any questions on the activity report? Good.
Good there. We'll go to the report of public works. I know you have about 6 bullet points there.
So first off, I'd like to express my thoughts and prayers to the families of the retired police chiefs that have recently passed away, George Llewellyn and Ronald Bowling. I didn't know them, didn't work with them, but they deserve the respect.
Our, and just so you know, our police officer, they're very involved in both of those.
Yeah.
Funerals, giving respect to those two officers. I'm with you. I did not know either one, but just their participation and honoring those, the city, thank you for that.
Absolutely. Secondly, our newest guy, Tyler Ward, he's gonna be, I just got confirmation probably about a week ago that he's actually gonna be getting into the Evansville Academy. That starts July 22nd, and we won't get him back to the road until after November 22nd. Any questions on that? Lastly, or next, we did get the new Durango. Waiting on it to get upfitted because we've got to get Jorge's canine vehicle upfitted. Right now, he's operating out of a temporary kennel in the back of his car, which is not very logistically good. But once Jorge's Durango gets done with the back door kennel, then we'll get the new Durango in to get upfitted as well. And the Caprice was turned in yesterday for trade-in. On the topic of Jorge, he's just completed a 6-week training course with our newest canine Romeo. They're certified in narcotics, tracking, and apprehension. And we will be doing, I think, a demo down at the Park and Rec here soon. It's recommended by us to not allow anybody to pet the dog that's not affiliated with our department. He is a biter. So, and we don't want incidental bites.
Utilize muscle or
Yes.
muzzle where appropriate.
Yeah. So, next I've got attached to the report is a quote for an in-car camera for the Durango that Art Parks was driving. That's been ordered. It should be in within the next month or so. But that's to fill out the remainder of the contract in that car. So, and that's the only vehicle that we have that doesn't have a camera in it. Which in today's age, in my opinion, is unacceptable. Also, we began an advertising campaign for full-time positions. for future use. This is if we have another opening here, you know, later this year, or if we have another opening in January. We can build a list off of this and allow us to call them people and get them in and make it more efficient for us. And just to let you guys know, I am working with the Huntingburg grind and we're looking at a day in July. And I think we've set a date on it, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But we're gonna host coffee with the cop and invite the public in to come in and talk to, you know, our officers, night shift guys that are people that are out mostly during the day, won't see normally. Just to interact with them and get to know who we are, because we are human as well. So.
Just want to commend the officers. I know that I see more officers outside of their vehicles.
Yeah.
Talking, engaging with youth in the community and those type of things. And I truly appreciate that.
And that's where we want to go.
I don't think we need a approval on that quote and send it to 10,065 So it's within the small purchase agreement for you to continue without approval.
Okay. And lastly, I'd like to thank Tom and his office for their patience and continuous help over the last couple of weeks. Because it's been busy. So,
You'll get there.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I've signed so many with the parks, temporary workers and everything else for the summer. I don't know how many different HR forms we've sent over to you to process, but it's been massive and we appreciate it too, as well as wastewater programs and everything else we're going through. And you're applying now, we're looking at applying for a grant too
Yes.
that will.
I didn't know if you wanted to go
Yeah,
through
we'll
that or.
bring that, just kind of let you know now, we don't need approval now, but once we get a little further in this, we'll need approval. We're applying for a grant to cover the expenses of an SRO officer. Kind of give you an update on that. That was been in the works for a couple of years, actually, of looking at that. But hopefully we can get funding. I think we stand a very good chance of that, as well as we'll work through a nonprofit out of Vincennes, Indiana, that works with a lot of police departments to bring other funding to our department to kind of take a burden off the taxpayer,
Yeah.
so to speak, for that.
And after our meeting the other day with Tucker, I did speak with Chip Mahaffey, the superintendent at school. He is more than supportive of it. He advised me if we need anything at all to just call him or email him. And he will be more than happy to help. So
It's difficult to handle any emergency incidents at schools right now because spread out a little bit with Hall and everything else with one SRO. And I'm going to spend some time with our officer and when school resumes, but understand that it's a pretty heavy schedule right now.
Yep.
Okay.
Any questions? Good.
Thanks, Chief. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief. Right now we have Fire Chief Don Hine.
Any questions with our report, our activity report? I do have a typo down there. It's the very last number 4 says, we're gonna be doing pump testing again. And last year we used the City Lake ramp and the company has June 14th, which is next Friday, as they have an opening and I would like to be able to use the boat ramp to do that again. And I put it out, publicize it and put some signs out so the fishermen know that the ramp would be closed during basically business hours because we got it done within a day's work.
Superintendent Austin aware.
Yes, and he has no problem. He says there's nothing going on.
Do you have openings on the department?
We have one, and And we interviewed 4 last night. One guy was sick, not last night, 2 nights ago. One person was sick. And so we're gonna try to get with him next week. And so hopefully in the July meeting, I can maybe bring somebody to,
Was that Jeff's spot?
yes,
Okay.
yes, Jeff retired.
Forgot about it.
Yeah,
Luckily, we have a waiting list.
Amen.
We have some great
Yes.
candidates too.
absolutely.
With previous, I guess, response type of experience. Emergency response stuff. Anything
So
else?
perhaps a motion be in order to authorize the closing of the boat ramp on that. So you can post signage and officially prevent any other people from using the ramp on that particular day, June 14th.
Yeah, I would, let's kind of have a motion for that, but also be able to work together with the water department in posting. Since they have authority there. So we have a motion to do so.
I'll make that motion.
All right, we have a second.
I'll second that.
Second, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Planning Director Paul Lake. Grass growing yet?
Any questions on the report? Either for permits or code enforcement?
I think you covered last time your process and length of time that it takes to respond, but right now you get 30, you got 56 notice violations.
Yes,
My count was we're on track probably to have about 600 this year at the rate we're going. Last year was 400, and I think we've had about
yeah,
50 or 60 about
yeah,
3
and
years ago.
it's a snapshot in time. Yesterday, there were 7 that weren't included on this that went out yesterday from my side of things. And sometimes they're just inquiries or callbacks from somebody saying, here's where we're at. We are working on it, and code enforcement will work with them if they say, well, I need 60 or 90 days to do this. As long as they're making visible signs of progress, we'll work with them. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does.
We have a small group or a small amount of people that are not as responsive, but I think for the most part, everybody's has been responsive.
Mayor, if there are no other questions on the reports, I do have 2 quick items. One is a 416, the bank building here on 4th Street. If there's a projecting pole sign that comes off the front of that building, the property owner is wanting to reutilize that pole sign structure that's there. Since it does hang over the city's sidewalk, it does require a motion or a action from the Board of Public Works and Safety to say it's okay to reutilize or reuse that pole sign structure. It has not had a sign hanging on it since the bank closed. But just to make sure everything is copacetic and follows what the UDO, Unified Development Ordinance, requires, I would like to go ahead and get permission from the Board of Public Works and Safety to rehang that sign when they're ready to open.
I can make the motion for them to rehang that.
Thank you, Dustin.
We have a second.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
They still have to comply with whatever.
With whatever the
ordinance
sign
provides.
face, yeah,
But this is just
exactly.
Authorizing them to.
But this is
encroach on
just to allow them to encroach on the right of way.
that right of way.
Still have the issue for signage.
The one other item I have is just for your information, if you should hear anything with the recent rain events we've had in the last 30 or 40 days. Especially Jason, the mayor's office, and I will hear quite a bit about people that have water where they are not used to seeing water. In particular, Hunter's Crossing. The stormwater, the stormwater swales in the backyards collect water. And what I would like the Board of Public Works and Safety to realize is that when Hunter's Crossing was platted as a subdivision, the engineering and the developer and the builder were all told that those surface stormwater swales were not going to have easements unless they put a concrete ribbon down there to channel the water. If they remained sodded, their task was to get it to the city's stormwater inlet into the city pipes. At that point, it becomes our responsibility as the city of Huntingburg to maintain that stormwater system. But the swales in the backyard are not the city's responsibility to maintain. It's the developer or the builder, the homeowner, and the homeowners association. So I just wanted to make sure that you understood that and that it was in the record, that it was never designed for the city to go back in the back. We don't have easements to get back in there. There are a couple of yards that do have an easement into a stormwater inlet where those swales come together. But I just wanted you to be aware. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
I'll just say that Paul Lake and I did prior to the storms, did meet with the homeowner association back early March, late February, early March, somewhere in that time frame. Price something like that. Anticipation of the rains prior to it occurring, so.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Does anyone have questions on the report?
How many seasonal employees did we hire? 20?
I think we probably between 25 to 30 roughly. So that includes all park and rec employees and the pool employees. So
So it's nice that we had insurance go down
yes,
and then go up so far yet this year that I know of.
yeah, no, we
and
just
here.
started the renewal for the general liability and all of the coverage for the fleet building and then all of our other equipment that we have, so. Cyber insurance, Rob had implemented a program called Cloud Strike last year, which I think was pretty much the reason that we got quite a bit of savings. On that renewal, and that was something that we don't pay for, correct, Paul?
Yeah, we're
Yes,
one of the
the
test
city.
cities and it was rolled out to us for free.
So, we got a nice program that helped us save a lot of money that we didn't have to pay for, so that was nice. So,
Anything else?
no,
I
thank you.
did advertise for one open position this week too,
Yes,
so.
yeah.
All right, City Attorney Phil Schneider, you know,
So we've secured commitments for funding for the wastewater project, complete funding. The Rural Development Agency has committed to funding a total of $40,701,000. And of course, we've got an EDA grant and a SWIFT grant. And our own funds, will total project funding will be over $50 million, $50,885,000. We made tentative awards of the Division A contract to Reynolds and the Division B to Cooper Rail. With the funding in place, we can now issue a notice of award if you will approve the mayor's authority to issue notice of award to those two contractors. And then at some point when we've got the funding in the bank, we can actually execute contracts. And that is anticipated to happen next week.
Yeah.
Closing.
by somewhere between the 12th and the 20th. So we'll be in that range, depending on what the paper, when the paper shuffle ends. This notice of award allows these contractors to go out for their bonding and secure their own source of financing to move the project forward. It is not an issuance of a contract, so to speak. You've already accepted the bid. The contract, you're also authoring us that once everything is ready with final engineering review from RD and everything we have to do from our funders, authorizing us to go ahead and issue that contract is what we're doing here. So it's really a notice of award that they can take, our contractors can take through the body to move this project forward. We do have to have it in by the end of the month in order to retain this funding.
Make the machine move forward.
We have a motion to move forward with the NOA and authorizing to issue a contract when the funding is secured. Right. We have a second.
I'll second it.
We have a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you very much. And that was really, I put the wastewater treatment plan update because we didn't know where we were at when I put that on the agenda. I think this came through, what, about 3 o'clock yesterday? And we're still getting emails this morning. Most of those contracts are, I think, scheduled to probably be signed on the 21st in that area. But we have to do it before our deadline is by the 24th, because that's when their engineers no longer going to be available to us. So we know we have to do it that week. All right, anything from Clerk Treasurer Tom Stipple?
No, nothing.
We have any other items? You know, we have some visitors here. We did have, any board items?
One question,
Yes.
Brick Oven Pizza, we know where that's at. You run east across Jackson, there's a lot with a garage on it.
Yeah.
Was once owned by the railroad, now privately owned. I'm just wondering why the city is mowing that.
The city is mowing right now the right of way along the railroad because the railroad never mows it. I know that's been done, what, about 10 years at least, maybe longer. I asked the same
It
question.
predates me coming to the city.
We think it's probably been about 15, 20 years. Decision was made to mow that versus dealing with the railroad, since it was a 5-minute mowing job. But most of that grass area is a right of way for the railroad, not the private property of the person that has that built. So if you want to stop that, let us deal with the railroads on getting it mowed.
I'm glad to stop home.
That's fine. Yeah, we have to look at it really. We're not responsible for any state right of ways. We have been down here mowing those, and sometimes we do. We've done railroad right of ways just because sometimes you know, our mowers mow 40 hours a week, each of them, and we figure another 5 minutes of mowing a stretch is worth, saves us a lot of Phil's time and Paul's time issuing letters to a railroad that's not responsive. And that was, I said, I think that's probably, it predates us, but I understand now. I had the same concerns, Carrie, that you do, that we're doing something, but it all stemmed around the railroad right away.
I've been here for 12 years and we've been mowing it that whole time, so it's been.
We're not.
And I questioned it too, by the way.
We've all questioned that. It looks.
Okay,
I
I understand where you're coming from, but he mowed the whole thing,
Mowed the whole.
mowed the whole lot.
Well, we'll just do it right away.
That's just was my thought. I was just asking.
So my
I
direction.
knew it was a right of way for the railroad.
Well, he's not supposed to be mowing it, all of it.
So you'll address
So
that.
I'll address
We only
that.
do the right.
Yeah, I'll address that with him, to make sure that we're only mowing the right of way.
And we can get together with Paul. He can lay out that right away. Just.
Oh, I can get it.
You got it.
Yeah, it's 25-foot right of way.
Pull that out of GIS.
Yeah.
Good point, Gary. Thank you. Yes. All right, any citizens items? Nothing. Then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion made.
We have a second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye, motion carries. We'll adjourn. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's. So are we,
Sure.